checked another noble. And here comes my next encounter card, a knight. Is that my second knight? Not in this phase, but it's a knight inverted. Now, I had a guy aboard, someone that was helping me out. He probably alerts me that the crops as well are suffering around Belgorod, and can I come back to assist him? Let me see about this. So he still has an antagonist of a vizier. A bear is probably also a person who knows Boris, since you're all in the same area. But I'm going to look at that, the mishap. There's a penny mishap coming to the sheriff, and there's also a post vacancy of astrologer. If I can step in temporarily as an astrologer, I can help solve the problems that are occurring at Baron Ishmael. And Baron Ishmael, he could be an absentee landlord. He could own these estates yet live in the capital. He could be there and active and gone insane in his keep, be actively taking a role in all this. The bad traits of the fact that the place is in famine, it's been pillaged and corrupt, would suggest that Baron Ishmael is either old and enfeebled and gone to live with his in-laws, or is an absentee landlord, and the sheriff and the emissary Victor and the warden of the gate Abel, they run the estate, but they're in competition with Herbert and cross him off because I defeated Confessor Louis.
As we returned to Belgorod, the crew was unhappy. I wasn't exactly hopeful myself. The land had changed. The last crops had failed. The scars of the Bear Paw Rebellion remained, and the local court was tainted. Of those conditions, maybe we could help Sheriff Chester eliminate the corruption. We met with Victor, Abel, and Chester, the ones who remained loyal to the fiefdom. Baron Ishmael had retired back south, leaving his retainers in command. The vizier, Herbert, was gathering followers and planned to evict these three soon. Victor was left in charge, wielding the authority of the Baron, but he was preoccupied with replenishing the larders and timid about exercising power. Politics might see him removed, but I certainly didn't want that. Trade lords like Victor employed boats like mine. Abel was warden of the gate and commanded the inner garrison. Without the Baron present, his soldiers would busy themselves with drink. They had no dog in this fight, so Abel felt. Only Chester knew the consequences of leaving Herbert to plot freely, unopposed. Victor and Abel even mentioned accusations Herbert was making that Chester had taken too freely from castle coffers. Policing the greater land was expensive. The two lords also knew my boat had been outfitted at baronial expense. There would be no consensus here. Cordially, I departed.
Astrologer, or stop the mishap with the sheriff. Well, stopping the mishap with the sheriff sounds more like my type of character. I'm going to look at my skills, though. I'm a bowman duelist equestrian, not really the type as a occult scholar or even a person who could forge documents or a cartographer to study the terrain that would really be an astrologer. I doubt I'm even... Well, I'm probably literate. I think it says in the game that everyone's literate, especially since I'm a mariner, can read charts. But I'm not a steward. We pointed that out before. I'm going to take the action where I'm going to come to the rescue of my friend Sheriff Chester. And I'm going to have to show up, and we're going to just go in and we're going to fight Vizier, a bear.
I decided to kill Herbert as he slept, knifework and steal away. I doubted Sheriff Chester would investigate the crime. If I saw my face on wanted posters, I only hoped the artist drew me grimacing. I assembled a small group and included several Deshii. I was reasonably certain these bears were strong and loyal. I left Hearth and my Genelin on the ship. He looked at me knowingly. His only suggestion was to take horses. Meet back with the boat at the mouth of the Dnieper. Uller would enjoy the exercise. Hearth would delay sailing, linger offshore. He would overly light the ship, make it visible to the castle. Only depart should he hear an alarm raised. That would draw the defenders to the coast, away from my escape. I debated telling Sheriff Chester, but let him keep plausible deniability.
Humans enjoy the complicated.
Now, normally you put half party size divided by 2, and I'm a party of 1, so I'm going to fight one guy. And because I'm already at a quest pip of -2, I have to make him a large guy to check the encounters for battle. So I will make him a large guy. He's going to go ahead and summon like a warg to fight for him. Does that seem possible? Sure, the vizier, he's guarded by a warg, so I'm going to fight a warg. Chester will be there if I need a soak off. I've already used my rugged previously in this game session. I will use the vizier a bear.
The vizier took over a round tower, once the confessor's chambers. This connected by a walkway to the main square keep. We climbed the curtain wall and entered from the west. There was no one on that wall. Too curious and too easy. I decided Chester was aiding us after all, but as I opened the chambers of Herbert's domain, I saw the alternative explanation. The scoundrel had magical command of a warg. None of the retainers felt that was worth mentioning. I smelt the thing before glimpsing the monster. The canine moved unchained, growling and snapping in my direction, circling about, glaring, with a head as large as my chest. Mostly I saw teeth, jagged and glistening with saliva, rendering the stone floor slick.
I go to my fundamentals here, and I am going to take these rolls across the charts, meaning I am going to take whatever the suit tells me as the result. A lot more dangerous. Here comes my first card of the attack. We want a cup, be best, and we want a card that's not inverted. Well, we got half of that. We got a card that's not inverted, but it's a sword. So let me look at fundamentals, brash, sword. Is that a king or a queen? It's a queen. And a queen, sword, brash. Confused by shadows and the chaos of the situation, the warg itself. Adversaries suddenly look huge and menacing. Well, it's a warg. Of course it's huge and menacing. Realize, so are you, because I'm a demigod with a magic blade. Hellish. Hellish and crushing and biting. Oh, I can kill this thing with my blade. Come and fight. Against large adversaries, difficulty increases by 3. Trade bold. I am bold. If this action takes place in the water, it does not. So it is a 13 because it's against a large adversary. I am trade bold, but I have a -2 because of the quest penalties. I would need a 15 rolling 3 dice because I have the advantage of being bold. Now, should I use my make roll here, or should I try to roll 3 5s? Well, I'm thinking to myself, there's a chance that I could possibly, I could add the fury, for instance, play my energetic, and then I need 3 dice for a 13. I could also use my methodical and eliminate the die roll penalties of either a def mod or that -2 quest pip, and it would come down to 11 on 3 dice. Or I can use my make roll and win this battle. I will use my make roll and I won't even roll the dice.
The room was unnaturally dark. Magical shadows kept light confined to a few feet. I imagined the chamber had walls, but could not be sure. This arena might be arcane and epic, hundreds of feet wide. I could hear the warg growling. I readied to swing a foti at the next sound. The Deshii advised differently. My sword related that message.
The bears say this dog is simpering.
The animal was more trapped than pet, certainly not trained to fight in the small space. It too was confused by the magic of Herbert. I could see the warg glancing first at us, then back at a wardrobe, not the master's bed as might be expected. The vizier was here and hiding. We found Herbert, and I finished him off. There'd be no discussion, no chance for magical charm. The vizier expired on the quick, freeing the warg to bolt through us and out from the room. We too escaped out of the castle compound with the body of Herbert dragged along. We'd find an elm tree and bury him there. His magic would fertilize the roots, and with luck, no one would look for him.
I will go into my character here, and where I had 1 make roll, I now put it at 0. Again, I'm not wounded. By using that 1 make roll, I have saved my friend, Chester. We've eliminated the other person in the court here, a bear, and I beat the vizier of this city-state/settlement's fiefdom.
Baron Ishmael was like many. He owned estates outside several large city-states. These were land gifts from which he collected rents from the tenants. When he was out of favor with the imperial court, he could take refuge in any of his domains, hide himself from all but serious pursuit. Many a lord's faux pas would see them exiled for a year or lifetime. Welcome no sword stroke, death delayed, kin of unlaughed, shipmates unthinned by strychnine. With Lewis and Herbert gone, the small court led by Victor could keep the peace, build local trust, and work out small improvements. Famine and pillage could be solved, so long as the leaders are not profiting from such misery. If I ever returned here, I expected to be treated as a stranger. My goal was only to eliminate one of Windcaller's loyal agents. The path ahead was now smoother sailing.
Now, because I used a make roll, I cannot check. Wait a second, might have to time travel here. I cannot check battle if I use a make roll. What did I say? If instead of using my make roll, I used my energetic for +2 and applied my methodical to cancel a -2, it would only be an 11. Let me count this up again by 3 because of difficulty. So it's a 13, down 2 for the Furies, and 11. I'm bold, 3 die 8 for an 11. I will try that because I don't want to use my make roll because I'm trying to check battle here. I'm purposely fighting the large warg to try and set the stage, and I rolled a 15.
I thought this was resolved. This was tied up in a bow. I read the happier ever after line. Okay, let me think. Magic. When all else fails, we can rely on fantastic whimsy. I felt my work was done, only to wake from the illusion. That scalawag wanted me to think he was slain, his body buried under an elm. I snapped out from the charm with the help of the Deshii. Now I had to finish the plot I started. Hopefully, as I imagined. The warg turned to snap. I did not threaten with the Foti. Instead, I sheathed my blade and had the Deshii speak to the monster. These Fae are not true kin, but all have been persecuted by humans for an age. They do listen to one another. I found Vizier Herbert cowering in the wardrobe. I punched the man unconscious. Taking him by the collar and the belt of his robe, I dwarf-tossed the magician at the warg. The beast ripped him apart. Distinctly satisfying crunch of the bones. The room returned to normal lighting. Now he was dead. Well, so much for hiding the evidence, making the other retainers feel Herbert may have stolen what he could and fled, yet they may decide that his warg turned on him. We left the room contents the same, no pilferage, as we followed the beast out and back over the castle walls. My companions wondered how I was so clear on my path. For me, I was retracing familiar steps. That prior delusion was almost an omen.
I used some of my funky powers here, but it was good for me in that I got to check my battle. Now, I could also have made this heroics, but there's other ways to get heroics with other Q&Ds. I can even use a make roll there. We're going to go on to the fact we're still in Phase B. I've doubly helped my friends clear Belgorod of adversaries, or I should say a fiefdom outside of Belgorod of adversaries. And here comes my next encounter card. I'm still in Phase B, the Justice card. Until the deck reshuffles, ignore knaves, treat them as tens. So I'm ignoring knaves. I also had the ignoring kings.
Valentin was busy making a porridge when I approached with Hearth. My intent is not to kill you. Valentin chuckled and asked if I'd like a taste. His broth did smell nice. Poison is often the best last meal anyone ever has or ever will. Hearth directed the Deshii to grab the quartermaster. Our language barrier was partially solved with Ep08 acting as translator. I could confirm that the bear paws saw through this goblin's disguise. Valentin transformed and pleaded for mercy. 2 of his companions were already exposed and slain. This one did not want me to complete the regicide of his triarch. Are you hired or coerced by debt? What binds you to Boris the Barber?
Mercenary for the gilded coins alone.
Where is Valentin? If you killed him, you hang from my mast. The goblin lowered the mystic shadows he kept on a pile of sacks. In one of them, the miller's son was catatonic, alive but wrapped in a magical euphoria.
He will survive.
Hearth, give the goblin your ring. I knew the monster could not resist the bauble, especially since it inherently had magic. Hearth obeyed without question. He did not want the thing, but felt it was too important merely to discard. Your deal with Boris is ended. I will miss your stews, but you must leave. The ring and your life are payment. Assume your illusion and say goodbye to the crew. That was a feminine solution, Hearth commented. Indeed, I said with a smile. The real Valentin stew was not as savory. Richer was the taste with the goblin's blend of poisonous panther mushrooms.
Next encounter, trying to get to the climax here. Empress. Until the deck reshuffles, ignore the effects of Major Tarot. All right, that should streamline just a little bit. Until the deck reshuffles. Guess what that is? That Wheel of Fortune card is the deck that needs to be reshuffled. Let me recall all the deck. Let me shuffle the deck. I'm still in Phase B, and I have Boris the Barber as my enemy. Ivan is my patron. I bested the Vizier, and I have bested the Illusionist. More later.